Thanks for staying with us. And news just coming in, a fire has broken out at Devi Theatre on Mount Road. For more on this, now we're joined on the phone line by our reporter Salim. Salim, how has this really happened?
Evelyn, a fire broke out in a generator room located very close to the Devi Theatre. The cause of the fire is electrical short circuit. And also, one fire engine was pressed into service and the fire is put off now. And also, secondly, a car went up in flames near the new secretariat. 2 fire engines have been pressed into service. The fire personnel are fighting to put off the fire. As of now, sources from the fire department say that they are investigating both the cases.
Salim, are there any people injured, any people inside the theatre when this happened?
No, sources from the fire department say that this is a minor fire and nobody has injured in the fire which broke out in the generator room, which is very close to the Devi Theatre, as well as the car which went up in flames near the new secretariat.
All right. When exactly did this happen, Salim?
Devi Theatre fire happened 35 minutes ago, and the car which went up in flames, the fire attendants have been pressed into service, and the fire will be put off very soon.
All right. Now, this is another fire accident after that kind of an incident at the old secretariat. What measures, extra measures, is the fire and rescue services taking at this point?
Sources from the fire department very clearly say that the car was positioned for the past several weeks over there. So as of now, they are investigating the case about who owns the car and why was it stationed there for several weeks and so on.
All right. Thanks very much indeed, Salim, for joining us with those details and giving us an insight into that incident. We're now joined by an eyewitness to that incident, Mr. Manoj, who is joining us on the phone line. Sir, can you tell us what you really saw? Mr. Manoj, if you can hear me, can you tell us what you really saw at that at the theatre? All right, we don't have that connection there, unfortunately. Let's get you some other stories. An 8th standard girl was found hanging from the ceiling fan at her house in Madipakam on Friday. 13-year-old Thinmuri was studying at Sai Matriculation School. She was found hanging in her school uniform, which leads to the speculation that exam pressure could have been the reason behind the suicide. Dr. Lakshmi Vijayakumar, founder from Sneha Suicide Prevention Center, spoke to us earlier. Here's what she had to say about how students fail to handle pressure.
It is true, and it is a worldwide phenomenon, and we are actually quite distressed to see that the suicides among the people who young children below the age of 14 is increasing in many countries, and it has been so in India too. About 20 years ago, if you look at it, there were hardly about 300 or 400 children below the age of 14 committing suicide. But now it's almost about 2,000, 2,300 children below the age of 14 committing suicide. According to the last figures, in Chennai alone, there were about 18 to 19 students below the age of 14 who had committed suicide in the year 2008. So we are actually quite distressed that the age for when the suicide is being committed is becoming lower and lower. And in fact, it was quite shocking that sometime back even a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old was brought into the hospital with burns because she tried to self-immolate herself. So the age seems to be really coming down. And as regards depression amongst children and adolescents, we now know that before it was thought to be unheard of, that children can't be depressed. But we do know now that depression can come as early as 5 years or 6 years old itself. We find features of depression. So normally suicide is never due to a single or a simple problem. It's usually due to a multivarious problems. We call it as a biopsychosocial behavior. You know, you have some biological, genetic, neurochemical basis which makes the person vulnerable. Then you have the psychological factors and then the environmental factors. And all these combine together to push a person to suicide. So it's very simplistic to say it is because of this or it is because of that. But definitely in children, if you look at it, things which induce a lot of shame, you know, particularly in front of their friends or in front of their class or in front of a group, anything which induces shame makes them think about suicide much more than adults.
Going back to the news we've been receiving about that fire accident at the Devi Theatre, we're now joined on the phone line by an eyewitness, Manoj. Manoj, can you tell us what really you saw in front of you when you were travelling around that side?
Yeah, actually I was not travelling. In fact, I was inside the theatre when the fire took place. And when suddenly we realized there was nearly 3 or 4 times when the power got disconnected in the theatre. And when we asked what was the case, they just told us that it's nothing, it's just some power cut. And some theatre person was coming just spraying the room spray in total theatre. At that time we were not aware what's going on. But suddenly when we saw some people rushing from the front row, we saw some smoke also coming and we had to rush down. And there was not a single emergency light, or there was no theatre person to guide us down. And we were along with the children and everybody. It was real mess there.
Were any injured in this whole process of getting out of the theatre?
See, actually we are not aware, because when we are talking to police, they are telling you better lodge your complaint. If you have any queries, go to station or go to commissioner office. You needn't speak here. And when we are getting such a response that place where police is, then the person who has seen all this, they are not ready to listen to us.
All right, I'm glad you are safe and the people around you are safe as well. But thanks very much for joining us tonight and speaking to us. Well, a group of cyclists are encouraging people in Chennai to take part in competitive biking. They're also popularizing cycling as a way to stay fit.
The silence of dawn, the chirping of birds and a breathtaking sight of the wide blue ocean welcomed 45 cyclists who took part in the track and trail race in Chennai. The cyclists headed for Mahabalipuram. The cyclists say the 26-kilometer ride was much more than a race.
Cycling is actually my favorite hobby, and I love it as a sport, and I cycle daily. It helps the environment because it saves fuel and it doesn't emit any gases or anything like that.
Cycling in those days when I used to do my cycling, which is almost about 38 years back, when I was a state champion, there was almost nothing here. Now, cycling has taken a great shape, and there are a lot of cyclists, there are a lot of enthusiasm.
The initial idea behind the race was to revive interest in cycling. But the organizers now say that they are also using the event to bring awareness among the people about the health benefits from cycling.
I'd say it's fun, it's fitness, and it's environmentally good as well. We all used to cycle when we were kids and we loved it. You cycle, you get fit, and it's good for the environment, so it's a win-win-win actually.
Prizes were handed down to the teams which completed the race with the best timings.
Be it turning off the lights, planting more trees or cycling like this, environmentalists have just one thing to say: go green and save Mother Earth before it is too late. With camera person Arun, Bertila for Ndtv-Hindu.
Still ahead, what's in store for the city on World Theatre Day? Stay with us to find out.